Hello, and thank you so much for joining me. My name is Sasha Reade, and tonight I've got another one of my sessions on when you only have half an hour. Now, this is the 7th video in my series, so there are a lot to catch up on, and I'll link the playlist down below so you can go back and check it out. Tonight, I wanted to have some fun. This was supposed to be a midweek video, but my kids finished school on Wednesday, and I've got them home for 2.5 weeks. So we are going to be crafting sporadically again. I've got this Ombre Designs pad of paper here. Now, the reason I'm using this pad of paper is because I haven't got a lot of time, and I want to make the most of my half an hour time space. So I've got this pre-inked up paper, beautiful ombre paper, and that's what I'm going to use today to create my background with. This paper pad I picked up from the range and also the Works, so both of them sold it quite a while ago now. I'm getting some background stamps out, just whatever I've got in my stash. This is what was on my desk. I'm using the little patterns and the little backgroundy kind of stamps from each of these sets for my video today. And then I was going to use some circle dies, but then I found this on my desk, which I'm planning to use in a video tomorrow night for you guys for some Saturday night crafting. So I just thought, why not use this? And it's part of this range from Sam Colcutt's new Made to Surprise Shutter card die set, and this is the sort of extension die set that gives you kind of pretty little patterns. It also cuts a cake and the icing and a fork, you can see there. So I'm obviously not going to use this cake die or the icing die or the fork, but I decided I love the circles and the sort of big doily kind of shapes. So that's what I'm going to use today out of this set. So whatever you've got in your stash, have a look, because I bet you anything you've got something in there that's going to have some cool shapes that you could have an outline with. And that was kind of the goal. So I'm going to start off with 350 GSM cardstock for my base. So this is my 12 by 12 paper pack, and all I do is line it up on that edge, slice it, and that gives me exactly 6 by 6 inches or 6 inches wide card. So when I fold it in half, I now have a 6 by 6 inch card. I went ahead and looked through my little pack of paper and pulled out some colors that I liked. So I wanted to go with the blues, and I only used one sheet of this in the end, but I got two just in case. So blues and greens, and then blues and pinks is what I went for. I got some black cardstock out my stash and my black VersaFine Onyx Black ink pad, which is my favorite black pigment ink. Now I want this middle section. I want this section that's transitioning the color. I want the ombre kind of section. So I'm just basically trimming it down until I've got the section I like the most, and then I'm going to use that bit for my card. So now I know it's 6 inches wide, so I'm going to go ahead and cut a strip, because I want to start with a strip on my card. I quite like having a strip on my big 6 by 6 inch cards. I went with 1.5 and then decided no, 2 inches looks better. So I've cut this to 6 inches wide, and I've gone ahead and cut 2.25 of an inch for my black to go behind it. Now I'm taking all my topper pieces and die cutting them out of my ombre paper, and I've lined them up sort of in the middle, so I get some that look like they're transitioned, those bigger ones looking a bit more transitioned. Then I'm going to take my background dies and die cut those out of black. So really simple, just the paper in the ombre colors, the decorative design paper, whatever you've got in your stash, and then the black. What you want is a very plain decorative paper, because now we're going to add on the pattern. So we've got all of our background papers matching. So we've got the ink, which is black, which is going to coordinate with our black back backing. Does that make sense? Oh dear. And then we've got our top pieces, which all match each other because they're the blues and the greens. So they all look nice together. And then we've got our patterns, just a bunch of random different kinds of patterns, no specific shapes, just sort of background pattern images. I'm not using those birds or the flowers. I am just simply going with something that kind of is appealing to the eye, but it's not a focal point, because we don't want these being the focal point. We want the message we're going to put on the card to be the focal point in the end. So all I'm doing is taking all these little background stamps, inking them up and sticking them on. Then I just stick them together onto my backings, and I love these flowers. I have to say, they're my new obsession, and I cannot wait for this video tomorrow when I play with more of this stuff from this set. So I'm really excited. I won't be using these doily ones, but oh my goodness, I'm in love with these little flowery doily things. So now I've got them all glued together. I'm going to glue that last final strip on here, and I don't have a full border. I've just got the side borders on this one, but I really like how that looks. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that on my card towards the edge. just so that I can then put all my little funky bits to the right and kind of fill out that white space. And all I do is I lay them out exactly how I want them to be. And then the ones that are on the bottom, I'm going to glue first and just kind of tuck under to make sure I get my placement right. And then the top ones, I'm going to do a mix of using foam pads and my glue to stick them down. So again, here's some foam pads. I'm going to come in with that and to just get it to kind of pop up off my page a bit more. And I just love how the colors are blending together. Now I do have another sample at the end because I had enough time today that I spent about 40 minutes in my craft room and did 2 cards. So this one took me just under half an hour, and then my next one was a lot faster because I knew what I was doing, I knew where I was going, I had all the supplies on my desk. I've got this sentiment stamp set, which I've just picked up from Craft Stash in their big sale. I'll link it down below. It's only about £4 or £5, so it's quite a good price. And I'm going to use that happy birthday from the top. I've pulled out some strips from my strip jar that just sits on my desk where I put all my extra little bits when I cut them off. And I've gone ahead and stamped it in black onto the same white card. And I want to have my little kind of, what is this called? I don't even remember. Where you want like the little pointy ends. So I snipped down the middle. And then I snip from the corner to the middle and then from the corner to the middle. And that's how you kind of get that nice, perfect, is it a pendant? I never know. I get it always wrong. But now we got that really cool, pretty sort of detail to our little sentiment without having to use any dies or anything. And that was just a strip that was left over on my desk. So I'm going to pop some foam tape behind that and stick that onto the front of my card, right in the middle where it's nice and flat. And then that's where your eye goes. You see that sentiment, and then the rest is just quite fun. I've got these Nuvo drops, which are, I can't remember what they're called, but they're the clear, sparkly ones. So when they dry, they're not white. They do look a bit white, but when they dry, they're completely clear with sparkle. And I'm just adding some random dots all around it, and that finishes off this card. Now you'll see my second card in just a minute, where I went and used the blue and purple paper. But I love how this turned out, and it was quick and it was easy and it was just quick die cutting. Now, here's the epic Sasha moment. This black one, I swear to you, every time I've used it, I have put my finger in it. I was consciously moving it, knowing it was there, and I just put those Nuvo drops on, and I still put my finger in it. On this one, I went with more die cuts, and I used this cool bunting. So the bunting actually cuts out the edge and the middle. So on that bunting, it's a bit difficult to see. I cut it out in black. And then I used this ombre bit of the paper and I popped all those up with foam. So I was getting really scared about lifting this up to show you, but it's all on foam tape and each one of those little triangles is popped up a bit. And the happy birthday in the middle is popped up and that bottom left one is popped up. And I love how it turned out. I used the leaves on this one for that main focal point of the big one. And then I went in with this butterfly die as well, or the stamp set I should say, and used the little splotches to kind of create some more background images on my little pad and papers. So that finishes off my cards for today. I hope you enjoyed them and I hope it gave you some inspiration to get out those pattern stamps that you've got sitting around, get out some layering dies, whatever funky dies you've got. Have a go and create some really fun, interesting background cards. Thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure you're around tomorrow night because it's Saturday night crafting. Get your drinks out and join me for some fun. Bye!